Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Hurry Up. I'm your host, Adam, so let's get into this. So, recently, there's been discussions, good, bad, or otherwise, on certain social media platform about a certain quarterback named Daniel Jones. People bringing up stats that he's, after the same 48 games, he's as good as Trevor Lawrence, or Trevor Lawrence getting more praise, even though the numbers are almost identical. It's because Daniel Jones stinks. They see it on the field. Okay, a lot of people need to realize that if you're going to use stats, also use the field as well. For example, some of the same people I've been talking to on Twitter and in Twitter Spaces also told me that 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions wasn't a good season because the quarterback of the team went 4-13. So if you're going to use stats to try to justify why Daniel Jones is good, at least show me on the field. The guy has not been good on the field sans one season. And that's if you combine both his good seasons. He has not thrown over 20 touchdowns in 4 years. In 4 years. This guy was atrocious this season. Regardless of the injury. The injury is kind of hiding the fact that he stinks. I thought it would do the opposite, give the Giants an out. It's hiding the fact that he stinks, especially when a rookie quarterback, undrafted, is coming in and having the same kind of production. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yet we want to compare him to Trevor Lawrence in his first 48 games, who won a playoff game? Give me a break. We praised Daniel Jones for one playoff game. Same people told me, I said to certain people, I said, listen, watch his games. Dude, look at the scouting report. Tell me if it's anything different. I watched the 2 games. He was fantastic and then overwhelmed in the Eagle game. He wasn't overwhelmed in the Eagle game. He just stunk. Call it what it is. Overwhelmed. You know who gets overwhelmed? A rookie. Not a 4th or 5th year guy. You should understand the moment. That's the difference. That's what we're talking about here. Trevor Lawrence overcame his 5 interceptions, somehow won a football game. And then he played a decent game against Kansas City. Our quarterback goes out and plays a shitty game, the second game of the divisional round. Oh, but he was overwhelmed. Give me a break. The week before, you were praising him about beating the hell out of Minnesota. But now we want to praise him? The guy stinks. It's time to move on from this quarterback. I didn't mean to make this video about this, but it's like the Giants might have a chance after this season's all said and done, because I don't feel in my heart of hearts that they're going to beat the Eagles twice. And the Rams are a feisty team who, if they beat the Saints tomorrow night, are going to look at us as their ticket to the playoffs. They beat the Giants. That's their ticket to the playoffs. They beat the Saints and they beat the Giants. They're in the dance. They're in the dance. And the Saints may be eliminated, depending on what happens. Because they got three teams fighting for 2 spots. More than 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. And the Rams right now are in the playoffs. And you have the Seattle, you have Saints, you have a few other teams, the Vikings, who could fall out of the playoff hunt. Okay? They play the Lions. There's so much going on. Yet these people want to justify Jones and try to bow tie not drafting a quarterback because they want to build a team out. You can still build a team with free agency and the draft and still get a quarterback in the first or second round. You need to put heavy stock in it. When we say that we need heavy stock in the offensive line, right? We go out and draft an offensive lineman. No one's going, oh my God, don't draft an offensive lineman. But then when we talk about the quarterback, God forbid we talk about the quarterback and wanted to draft a new guy. It's, hold on. We can't do that. We should draft a receiver, or we should draft this, or we should draft that. But we never want to draft a quarterback. The reason the Giants should draft a quarterback, it signals the start of the rebuild. It saves Brian Daboll. If you like Brian Daboll, it saves his job. If you like Joe Shane, it saves his job. If they run it back with Daniel Jones, anything less than the NFC Championship game, these guys are fired. I'm sorry. This would be year 4, and you're at the NFC Championship game, and if they don't make that game, you're done. That's the trajectory you're on. You paid this guy $160 million. That's what you're expecting to get out of it. Anything less, uncivilized. You draft a quarterback, then you don't need to worry about the expectations, because if you happen to win, you win. If you don't, you don't. You got a rookie guy. And I don't want to hear about punting to next year, because guess what? The transfer portal has fucked all that up. Okay? Because the guys you think might be coming out may have an extra year of eligibility. So now we're punting down the punting. Oh, we're waiting for Arch Manning. Yeah, well, Arch Manning can go to the transfer portal. He's 18 years old in 2023. He's going to be 21 in 2026. He could stay for another year. He could transfer. He could do whatever the case may be. He could get money to transfer to a bigger school. Hell, Ole Miss could say, hey, you know what? Your uncle played here. Come play here for 1 year. We'll give you number 10. You know, your grandfather played here. You know what I mean? Come on. How do we know because of the money these guys are going to come out? It's time to move on, folks. And I tell you this, once DJ leaves this arena, and whomever the quarterback is or is not, this fan base will be united again. Because this guy has been that divisive. You see a guy, Tommy Cutlets, coming out there and galvanizing a fan base. But let me touch on this real quick. Tommy Cutlets, man, stop worrying about going for your appearances. Stop worrying about cashing in on your checks. Those will come. Start focusing on beating the Eagles. Because I'll tell you this, the Eagles are a wounded animal. And you're going to their backyard on Christmas Day. And if they have any pride, they're coming for that ass. And so don't let the clout of being on the top right now or having your 15 minutes of fame cloud your head. Get in there, try to win this game. I think the Giants are going into a buzzsaw. You probably would want to go into there with a team that won, because now there may be like, oh, okay, the Cowboys lost. We don't need to worry about winning. But guess what? The division's still on the line for the Eagles. Second seed's still on the line for the Eagles. Hell, even the first seed's still on the line. If the San Francisco 49ers falter down the stretch, we'll see. They have one game. They're playing the Ravens on Christmas Day. That could be the Eagles handle their business. The 49ers handle their business. You never know. They lose. Okay, now we're talking. So the Eagles have a lot to play for these last 3 weeks. I don't think they're just going to lie down and die. That's not the Eagle team that I've seen. And they've won some big games against some big teams this season. They have had a 3-game skid right now, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Giants. I don't think they have a chance, at least in Philadelphia. And then the Rams come to town the next day. Like I said, if the Rams beat the Saints on Thursday, they're all but in if they win. Because guess what? They win that game, then they play the 49ers. The 49ers probably have nothing to play for, or might have the first seed locked up. They can't chance that. They're going to try to win these next 2 games and cement themselves in the playoffs. So Giants have a tough road ahead of them. Daniel Jones stinks. Stop telling me about how good he is. Stop trying to cherry pick and try to make him and patchwork it up together to make it look like he's better than he is. And stop trying to say don't draft a quarterback because you want to keep this guy. It's time to move on. The Giants need this. The fan base needs this. It's time for a reset. It should have been done a while back when the regime came in. It should have been a reset button. It should have been cut everybody in the old regime, because you wouldn't have had this problem. If you let Daniel Jones walk out the door after his 4th rookie year and you brought in a Tyrod Taylor or a Baker Mayfield or something for the year, you'd be able to move on and not have any problems. The problem is now you have this albatross hanging over your head, and you know he stinks, and God forbid he gets a 3rd injury, it's over. A 3rd neck injury, it's over. And let me tell you, your backs don't get better. They only get worse when you play a violent sport. Not a physical sport, a violent sport. So if I'm Joe Judge, I'm not hanging my hat on a UDFA, and I'm not hanging my hat on a guy that's been injured 4 out of the 5 seasons that he's played. Because guess what? Season number 6, we're in season number, 6 right now? And he's been injured 5 out of the last 6 years. That trend is probably going to continue. So you might as well get a guy in here that you can rely on, that you can develop, that you can bring in a pinch if this guy goes down. But that's all I have to say today. If you like this, subscribe, hit the like button. I'll be back tonight at 5:30 p.m. with my man Mac the Giant Fan as we do the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. What a terrible week for the NFC East, but we're going to talk about all of it and preview Christmas Day games. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy. Happy holidays, and we'll see you soon.